Alright, so on today's episode of Gasworks, we're installing a radio in a 94, I can't remember, I think it's a 94 Ram 3500. So, the first thing you're going to need to do this install, you're going to need one of these kits. This is the Metra. I'll leave a link in the description to this, but where I ordered this. This comes with a wiring harness kit. These are little plugs that plug into your stock plugs. That way, if you wanted to put a stock radio back in, you could. So there's a little electrical plugs to wire up your radio. And then in here we get a dash adapter. This adapts the opening in the dash to a single DIN, so you can fit a single DIN radio, one of the more universal aftermarket radios. So let's see here, this is, there it is. So here's our stock radio. Alright, so I just pulled on this corner and it popped out. We're gonna come over here, we're gonna remove that. There's a screw there, and there's a screw there. I'm gonna remove those two. And there's also a screw here and a screw here. I'm gonna remove those two as well. Those are obviously holding this side of the panel on. It also holds in these sliding things like the ashtray and the cup holders. Phillips. This is my first time taking one of these apart, so bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me now. Little plug here to undo for the lighter socket. I could not tell you what else is holding it there. Oh, I see. Tilt the steering wheel down. Unplug the second lighter socket. It's just two of them. And carefully set this aside. Alright. And now we have good access to our radio. So we have two, looks like 5/16 nut or screws there. Okay, so 3/8. No, 3/8. 3/8 screws, hold this in. There's a ground. Oh. It's a 3/8 ring. We're gonna hang that ring up. First here. Awesome. So now we have our stock Chrysler head unit removed. We're just gonna set that aside for now. And let's just double check and make sure that this fits correctly. So it's gonna go this way. Okay, so obviously some things need to be trimmed. Let's make sure it fits this opening. in which case, yes, it actually fits the opening pretty well. What's up, bro? Okay, so I don't know how well y'all can see this, but here is our conductor from the radio. This came out of the box with the radio. This is a Pioneer. They're usually all the same. This is pretty universal when it comes to single DIN head units. You have a thick yellow wire, that is your constant 12 volts. There is a red wire, that would be your switched ignition. This orange and white wire would be an illumination wire that gets 12 volts when you hit the headlights on your car, and it actually dims the radio lights so they're not so bright, because they're usually brighter during the day, that way you can see it. Now the rest of these that are two colors, one being solid, one having a black stripe, these are your speaker wires. So you get like 4 sets of colors. You get white, green, gray, and purple. The one with the black stripe is your negative, and then the one without the black stripe is the positive. This radio also seems to have a parking brake wire to activate with the parking brake, because it has a display on it that allows us to see if we were to hook up a reverse camera, to where when you put it in reverse, it will actually display on the display here what you're seeing behind you, and it has AV inputs and all that for stuff like that. I think this one also plays CDs, so you could you put the car in park, you could watch a movie on this if you wanted to. All the parking wire does is it either gets a ground or a 12 volts positive. I'm thinking it's a ground, but all this, usually you would hook this up to your parking brake sensor, that way you're not watching movies while going down the road. But in any case that I hook up a radio personally, I just hook it up to where the parking brake wire is always activated, that way whenever you find the need to watch a movie or something, you can watch it going down the road for your passengers in your car, so your passengers could watch Shrek 2 if they wanted while going down the road. Anyways, we have 2 connectors here. These connectors came from the kit, the Metra dash kit. One of these has the positive 12, the ignition switch, the illumination wire, and these 2 I have no clue just yet. But so this here, these 2 are actually continuation of this. So there's a white and a gray in there. This would be the ground for the white, and then this would be the ground for the gray. Not that these hook together, but those are the speaker connectors. And then we have this blue wire here is a power antenna. In case you have a power antenna, we don't have a power antenna in this one, so it doesn't need to activate the power antenna whenever you turn the radio on, so this is useless. But and the rest of those are just speaker connectors, and this is really straightforward. So I'm going to hook this up right quick. I'm going to put y'all in a time lapse while I hook this up, and then I'm going to wrap it all up, make it into one neat little connection where it's just like that. Anyways, let's get to it. Okay, so now we have all of our speakers wired up on the connectors, and our ignition, illumination, and constant 12 volts. The wires that are left over are our parking brake wire, our ground. We have a system remote control wire. This might be the power antenna wire, but this truck does not have a power antenna, so we're not going to worry about that. And then a reverse gear signal input. This is hooked up if you were to put a reverse camera on the back of it, but there is no reverse camera, so we're not going to worry about that right this second. All we're going to do is we're going to wire this parking brake and this ground together, and we're going to hook it to the ground that's in there already. We're going to hook it to something that allows us to unplug it, so we don't have to snip it when it comes time to take this back out. But this is, you can butt connect these together. I used heat shrink and solder because it's a slimmer form factor and it's easier to cover that up with some tape or whatever, what have you. One wire is longer than the others, that is awesome. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, you know, you match color to color. They're all pretty much the same colors. These are pretty universal in color wise, like you'd be seeing the same colors in your Ford or your Chevy or anything like that, unless you get to the really old stuff. But so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on with this and get a little further. Okay, so here is our completed wiring harness. Don't mind the duct tape, that's just the only tape we had. I would have used electrical tape if I could, but there's our completed wiring harness. Here is our ground. It is a spade, and what I'm gonna do here is, originally in the dash of this truck, where the radio mounted, there was no way for the radio to ground anything. So what they did from factory was they put this screwed into the back of the radio to ground it. So all I got to do is snip this off and then put a female spade connector on there, because this one is a male spade connector, and then that will plug my ground right in. And also the parking brake sensor will be always, the radio will always think the parking brake's on, so you could watch a movie going down the road if you wanted to. But I don't suggest watching a movie. You need to pay attention to the road, Mr. Casey. It's for your passengers, really. But yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna make sure which tabs we need and which tabs we don't. We're gonna get rid of the tabs that we don't need, that we know are in the way. And then we also need to get rid of this cross bracing in here so we can put the radio in this. And I'll show you all how to put the radio in there, because there is a specific trick to it. Okay, so the GoPro died on me. So where we're at now. This little Pioneer head unit came with 3 or 4 very tiny little screws holding this piece onto the radio. So I had to remove those 4 little screws to be able to slide this piece off. But the little trick I wanted to show y'all is when you take this and you take it off the radio, whatever radio you have, stick it through the opening. I've already went ahead and cut the crosses out of here, and I took a file and filed down all the little places where the crosses went, and went ahead and got rid of all the nubs and attachments that I didn't need on it. You can see where some of those were. I just kind of like broke them off, and they broke clean. We got one down here, which is all we need for this truck, and another one up here. This one's actually useless, but it doesn't interfere with anything, so I'm not going to mess with it. Anyways, so this piece here, as you can see, there's a ton of little like triangle shaped pieces in there. what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna slide it in the front, just like that, and then you're gonna take a flathead or something and bend those little tabs out to where they hold this metal piece in the adapter so it doesn't, the radio doesn't slide out every time you take off. So I'm gonna get that done right quick, and then it's really straightforward after that. Everything's just plug and play in reverse of how it came apart. Okay, so it's something difficult to do by hand, both one hand, but so that's why I didn't record it. But as you can see here, I got those little tabs bent out in the sides, and now this is one piece, and I can't slide this out of here. So this is all one piece. Now it's just as simple as me putting the old radio, or not the old radio, the new radio back in its slot, and then I just got to put these 4 little screws back in it, and then we're gonna stick it in there, plug it back up, and see if it works. Alright, so now we have our radio installed in our adapter. If you're wondering how this little bezel comes off, the easiest way I've found is to lift it up a little bit and then pull back, and that will keep you from breaking the clips on the bezel. But these bezels don't hold on too good. Anyways, oh, there we go. Alright, so now my next bet is to just plug her in. We got the antenna right there, and then the other plug just plugs right in right here. And then one of these is for a subwoofer in case we wanted to do that. Here, camera, monitor output. One of these says subwoofer on it, I swear. Audio input. Ooh. Rear output. Here we go. Subwoofer output. We could have this thing jamming. Anyways. Here's our antenna wire. And then there's our plug. She's already been plugged in. I went ahead and did my ground there. As we can see, this is able to be unhooked if you needed to, so you could unplug the harness. And yeah, she just kind of sits back in there like that. So I'm gonna put this back together, and then I'll show y'all me testing it. Alright, so here's our radio fully installed. Everything went very smoothly. Let's see if we did right. Let the glow plugs warm up a little bit. Radio comes on. It's only doing that because I started the truck while it was coming on. But here it comes. And there we are. We now have a new radio installed in the truck. We're just gonna go ahead and set this to whatever. You can change that later. We're gonna go over here to radio, find a station right quick. If y'all are near Athens, y'all know what I'm going to. Oh.
Nirvana, 97.1 River Lattice classic hits from... Never mind. What does Teen Spirit smell like anyway? That's just one of those questions.
And the radio works. So that's it. That's complete. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Gasser Works.